Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2023 BMW X7 xDrive40i. Huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this SUV for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. So this X7 is finished off in Brooklyn Gray Metallic. We'll go over the MSRP once we go over all the specs and features and get this out on the road. So what is powering this X7 is a 3-liter twin power turbo inline 6-cylinder paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, pumping out 375 horsepower, 395 pound-feet of torque, sent through the xDrive all-wheel drive system, propelling this 5,300-pound SUV from 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles an hour. It has a 21.9 gallon fuel capacity, and you will expect to see around 19 miles per gallon in the city, 24 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 122.2 inches. Its overall length is 203.3. It has a width of 78.7, a height of 71.1, and its ground clearance measures in at 8.7 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this X7, this particular model has right around 12 grand worth of options added on to that base MSRP. Most of those are for the M Sport and M Sport Pro packages, which also include the Shadowline package, which is all the gloss black that you will see throughout this car. So it's surrounding the kidney style grille where there's a forward-facing camera. This even has the active grille shutters, which will open to provide even more cooling to that engine. And this even has the illuminating kidney grille option as well. I'm not exactly sure where the lights are for that. Maybe it has a backlit for when you're driving at nighttime. But you'll see more gloss black in the lower section where the forward-facing sensor is. There's a few more parking sensors and then huge inlets on both sides. And there's even some more gloss black accents just underneath the headlights and the high beams, which are the lower housing there. The upper housing is the DRLs and the turn signals, and that is something fairly new for the 7 Series from BMW, as well as the X7 here. There's some really clean lines that come down both sides of the hood, meeting the top section of that grille. I think it has a fantastic look. You have to get the Shadowline package. All of the gloss black accents just really make it stand out that much more. Now this also has the M Sport wheels and brakes. You'll see those are finished off in gloss black with the blue calipers. There's more gloss black running in the lower section there. This even has two-tone for the power folding side mirrors. There's a camera and the turn signal, full moonroof for this, and then you guessed it, more gloss black for the roof racks as well as surrounding all of the window trim. Really nice line that goes underneath the door handles too. So for the X7 being a 3-row vehicle, I think it has some great proportions to it, being stretched a little bit more, of course, than an X5 would be. And for the rear, this has the body colored spoiler, integrated third brake light with the wiper blade, LED taillights that you can see are illuminated right now. There's some chrome trim accents, which is interesting to see, running right through that power liftgate. And then this even has the M Sport exhaust. You will see more gloss black in that lower section, as well as all the parking sensors too. And with the towing package, the X7 is capable of towing up to 7,500 pounds, which is pretty healthy for the size of this SUV. Now this also has remote start. So if I triple tap on this button, I believe it just started up. So there is no exhaust note currently at the moment. We will have to get some rev clips here in just a little bit, but you can do that as needed. You can see it flashing, so it is shutting off. From there, I can use the button on the key fob, or I can use this button up underneath the power liftgate for the upper half to open up. If you're unfamiliar with BMW, the X5 and the X7 both have this split tailgate design. So from here, I can push on that button for the lower section to fold down. And I have some items in the back just to show you the amount of storage with that third row currently up. You still have a decent amount of room where you can place some items if you have it packed full of people. But what I love, over on this driver's side, you can individually fold down the back seats, or you have a max person or max storage. If I push on max storage, you will see the third row fold down, and then the second row won't fold all the way flat, but you can actually move those forwards so you can see both of those moving, so that way you can have maximum storage behind that second row. If I push on maximum people now, obviously the second row will go back to where it was, and then we have the third row going back up. So it's very versatile in that aspect, and then you can just mix and match with whatever you would like to. Now for the lower tailgate, you don't actually have to push on the buttons down below. You can just push on one of the two up top. You can close and lock it or just close it, and both of them will close with the push of one button, which I think is very practical. Now as we work our way to the back seating area, you will notice for this model, the door panel is covered in solid leather. This also has the interior ambient lighting. There's some wood trim. You even have some sunshade adjustments. So as you can tell, this one is currently rolled up at the moment. You can put that down. You can also do the other side using these. You have the sunshade as well as the rear one that you can adjust to. So it's pretty cool that you have all of those options available. And then we have the solid black leather for this interior. As we work our way to the third row, simply just going to push on that backing there, and you will see from there we have the seat in this position where it will move the rest of the way for you to give you a little bit more space. You can see it is still moving, where at 5'10", I can hop into one of the two for the third row where I have a good amount of space for my feet. You will notice too there's some controls right here that you can use to move these seats as well. And then for your third row passengers, at 5'10", I have about an inch of space. This has the full Alcantara headliner. We have cup holders, more of the ambient lighting, and these are even heated too. So for the third row, you have the heated seat adjustments and all of your climates and a mini sunroof. So your third seat passengers can be equally as comfortable riding around town. Now to exit, you could make it through the middle if you wanted to, or just exit the way that we first entered, and we are back to the second row. So with the backrest there, the seat will move back to the setting that it was in. A little bit of a slow process, but it will eventually make its way there. So as that's doing that, we can hop into the second row where you notice that the front seat even moved slightly too. So these are power operated, so I can keep moving it back to be a little bit more comfortable, where I have plenty of space. There's storage pockets. These are heated seats, of course. Same style for the climate adjustments, even some auxiliaries and cup holders, a little bit of storage. Now for the second row, no issues with headroom, and then we can keep going back to about here, where you can be comfortable in one of these two captain's chairs. So definitely plenty of space for your second row passengers. You can even attach some tablets and charge them behind both front seats just by sliding that open. And then you can get a look at visibility, pretty large windows for that third row. So you have a lot of visibility surrounding this large SUV. Now for the front door panel, everything is the same, minus this has all of the window adjustments, side mirror adjustments, the release for the liftgate. You can even adjust some of the other seats by using that control and the one just below it. Memory seating adjustments, and everything else is the same. And then we have the same design for these front seats, of course. And while this is a large SUV, it's actually not that high, so it is easy to enter, where we have the full leather steering wheel, which is an M steering wheel. Volume and tuning, as well as Bluetooth and voice commands, are on the right side. Left side gets you all of the cruise and adaptive cruise control settings. This even has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. But let's fire this up. With my foot on the brake, we can bring this to life. And looking at the digital gauge cluster, you'll see currently on the left side is miles per hour. On the right side is the tach along with what gear you're in. And then there's some fixed information that runs across the lower section. Now to further go through some of this info, I'll just use this button right in the middle. And if I push on that once, now we can scroll through the content that is available. So there's the route preview, you can pull up the map, even have a G meter if you want to monitor all of that. There's the radio and media, and then that is pretty much it that you can look at. There's even a reduced view if you don't want to have any information being shown. Now if I scroll over to layout, there's a few different settings here just depending on what you would like to see. You can see it changes slightly just depending on the mood that you are in for the day. And then the last one is for the head-up display. Currently it is showing a standard view, so it's just miles per hour speed limit sign. You can add the compass, you can look at your tach. So if I rev this, hopefully you can see that adjust. And then there's also a reduced view, which is very identical to standard view. It just changes very slightly. So that's all you get for the gauge cluster there, but it's very helpful to have. And then on this left side, there is a little bit of storage down below, all the headlight and parking light adjustments, one air vent, and then working our way to the middle, we have another massive screen. This is all connected and it's curved too, which is a nice design. In the upper left, if I push on that, there are so many different icons here that you can scroll through, from the interior lighting, your seats, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You have your phone, presets, pretty much everything is right at your fingertips to set this up the way that you would like to. You can also get into the music. If I go back to phone, you can go into that when you have that paired. And then the last one is the navigation. So you can pull that up in full screen. On the home screen, however, you can swipe over to go through all this info. So you can have all that right at the front. You can add widgets as needed, just depending on what you'd like to see. Now, as you've been able to tell, the climate adjustments never change. So these are all fixed. So you have the temperature dials on both sides, and then a shortcut to the climate menu, where you can get into that heated steering wheel, heated and ventilated seats, the fan, and then you have all of your passenger adjustments and all the settings to go into. So it is laid out extremely well. It's easy to go through. You'll see more of that wood trim surrounding that. There's even the X7, which is an illuminating badge with all of those there. Really cool to see that integrated into the dash. There's two air vents in the middle, and then there's power and volume for the radio, tuning, some other defrosters. Underneath more of this wood trim, this has a cell phone in here, which I will get back to the owner. We have wireless charging along with cup holders. There's even some auxiliaries, so you can charge electronics as needed, and then you can hide that away, which is nice to see. And then you'll notice too that we have a rotary dial for the infotainment system. So you have all these shortcuts that you can go through just to pull up what you would like to see, and then use that dial to further go through that information, of course. Behind that, this does have an adjustable ride height, so you can raise and lower this as needed, which is really nice. And then on the left side of the shifter, there's traction control as well as the parking sensors. And then looking at the gear shifter, if I push this forwards, that is for the 360 camera system. So of course, the backup camera will appear. There's also some shortcuts, so that way you can see around this. And there's some other views that you can get into, just depending on what you would like to see. There's a top-down view too, and if we go back to the 3D setting, this even has the gesture control, which you can use just by swiping your hand across the screen, as I kind of did right there, or you can just push on any of these icons to see around the entire vehicle. So that is very nice, of course. Drive is all the way to the back. If I pull on it one more time, that goes into the sport setting, and then park is just behind that. Now this also has various driving modes. So if I go into sport mode, you will see the gauge cluster change as well as the infotainment system. There's also comfort and then Eco Pro. So you can go through these as needed. This has a downhill assist control along with the electronic parking brake and the auto hold. And then for the center armrest, you have plenty of space with some auxiliaries, and you can place some items there as needed. And then a lot more room is located in that glove box. We'll take another look at that full panoramic roof as well as some visibility. There's some call buttons up top, dome lights, even a control for that sunroof. And then of course we have the frameless rear view mirror. But let's go ahead and get this out on the road. As we set off now behind the wheel for this X7, this has an MSRP just under $90,000. Now this model also has right around 12 grand worth of options. And personally, I think this is the spec to go with if you're not looking to go for the M50i, which has the V8 engine and a lot more performance, a lot more cost as well. But for this xDrive40, we have the M Sport package, the M Sport Pro package. We have all the tech features as a package. It's very, very well equipped. For this price of 90 grand, I think you're getting a lot for that money. When you compare it to some other full-size three-row vehicles, there's also the Cadillac Escalade, there's the GMC Yukon Denali. Those are three-row vehicles that are gonna be around the same price point, and I have been able to drive those. They're all good options depending on what you want, but I think for the money and the tech, I think the BMW is going to be worth the money as far as its driving goes, driving characteristics, the performance that you get. It's also the only model that I've seen that has heated third row seats. You have your whole separate climate adjustment there for your third row passengers. Very impressive to see that, along with the space that you do have if you have the third row up. So I think for the money, you can't really complain with what you are getting for 90 grand. And obviously you can get it cheaper just depending on the options that you go with. So let's pop it into the sports setting now from second gear. Not bad. Not bad for how heavy of an SUV this is. It's not loud, even in sport mode. This is not the performance version. M50i is going to give you that next level performance, sound, and characteristics. But having this basic X7 with the M Sport package gives you some of those characteristics, which is definitely nice, especially for what this car is, or SUV. Even coming around turns like that, for the normal speeds that I'm going, this isn't a track-focused vehicle. It's not going to take turns, you know, at high speeds, but it rides and drives so nice. I love the adaptive suspension with the adjustments that you can make to it, of course. It's a good multi-purpose style SUV. If you need the size, you need it for towing maybe, and you just want it to be a little bit more sporty than a boring SUV, so you can have some of those characteristics. I like that BMW can add some of those performance characteristics even though it's not a true M car. So it's nice to have like the brakes and everything that I said to give you that extra bit of characteristic performance and handling that you wouldn't normally get from a base model. Mild acceleration from third gear. You can just feel this wanting to go. It doesn't feel quick, but it moves. It's got power to it for the inline six. Now, one thing that I will say is interesting to see, we don't have massaging seats for this model. I'm sure that's an option because I have seen it in the X5 and the X7. It's a blank button right over here, which we don't have in this model. So for 90 grand, I would hope to see massaging seats in this car for that price point without having to add it to make that cost even higher. Aside from that though, that's the only thing that I see about this interior that I don't like. And from second gear, here we go. So it's not a performance style, it's not loud, it's not crazy fast, but this would probably be the option I would go with unless I truly wanted the M50i, which again is going to cost a lot more than this. It's probably gonna hit triple digits. So for under 100 grand, you have so many different options that you can go with for the X7. If you want just a basic style or you wanna add 12 grand worth of options like the one that we are in right now, it can suit your needs based on your budget. Now it's still a lot of money, obviously, but for the cost, I think it's probably one of the best three-row SUVs that you can buy for under 100 grand. You get a BMW, you get their reliability, which is nice because BMW has been in the top contenders for reliability for their newer models, which is of course nice to see. And you can say you own a BMW, but with that, you get a very comfortable vehicle to drive. It is so smooth, very quiet on the interior. You can't even feel these shifts. They are very, very minimal, so it's almost like it's one gear. You don't feel the shifts, which is nice for this style of vehicle. It's not performance oriented, so you don't need to feel that drama for this kind of vehicle. And it has so much space, a lot of good tech. This screen, the all-new screen that BMW has been incorporating into a lot of their models, looks great inside this X7. It looks very proportional, especially for the size of this vehicle, the dash, how it's integrated. I think that is a nice touch. But aside from that, not much else to talk about. It's truly a nice full-size three-row SUV. But I think that is going to wrap it up for this 2023 BMW X7 xDrive40i. Once again, a huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this for me today. Be sure to check out their website. That link is down in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.